Okay, guys, let's look at the second student task statement called match solutions. It says match each equation to its solution. Okay, so just like what we talked about in the previous lessons, the solution is basically like the variable. What's the value of this variable? Okay, now, excuse that. I'm sorry about that, guys. So let's look at part A. Part A says half of this number is equal to -5, and I want to write that down. So anytime you refer, or if anytime I refer to this number, I'm talking about the value of x. I like to say this number is because it put things more in perspective for my students, okay, in the class anyway. So it says 1/2 of this number is equal to -5. So I want to think about, okay, well, half of this number is equal to -5. So if half of this number is equal to -5, well, maybe I need to multiply by 2 on both sides to figure out what's the value of x. Okay? If we was to multiply 5 times 2 to figure out, well, what's the number that's being cut in half, right? Or if I wanted to even use a tape diagram, half of this number is equal to -5. What would I have to put on the other side of the tape diagram? You guessed -5. You're absolutely correct. And -5 plus -5 is equal to -10. So for A, our answer would be 3. 3. Okay. Moving on to the next one. Part B is saying that, okay, twice this number is equal to -9. So twice this number is equal to -9. All right. Now, if you notice in the first answer, our product got smaller, but the solution was bigger than the actual product. Well, in this case, our product is bigger than what's being, bigger than the coefficient. So I wonder what we have to do. So if we say half of this number is equal to 5, okay, well, twice this number is equal to -9. So what we can do is we can divide 9 by -2. And we divide 9 by -2. A negative divided by a negative is a positive. So I could automatically delete or cross out my negative answers. Okay? So when I do that, I get 4.5 or 4 5/10, which would be 4. B would be 4. Okay. All right. So needless to say, let's move on to the next one. For C, part C, it says -1/2 x is equal to 1/4. So I notice that my product, not only did it get smaller, but it's positive. It's positive. So, which means this number has to be negative because a negative times a negative is equal to a positive. Okay? Now, this number got smaller, so basically how fractions work is when the denominator seems to be bigger, it's actually getting smaller. Okay? So this number was actually cut into half, all right? It's making 1/2 being cut into half again. All right? So if I wanted to, just like we said with A, we divided by 2, correct? So we could divide by 2 with this one to figure out our answer, right? But when we divide by 2 with fractions, you have to do the multiplicative inverse, which is also known as keep, change, flip. And if I have to multiply both sides by 2, correct, just like we did in the first one, I would get 4 or -2 multiplied by -2, I would get -2/4. If I simplify it, it'll be -1/2. All right. So moving on to the next one, I see that for part D, I have -2x is equal to 7. Well, this one is similar to B, right? Which we did for B. We could do the same thing we did for B. It's the same coefficient. And guys, if you don't know what a coefficient is, it's the number that's in front of the variable. But they have the same coefficient, so we could do the same steps. We could divide by -2 on both sides, and our answer is going to be negative because a negative times a negative is a positive, and then when we divide 7 divided by negative 2, our answer is going to be negative. So when I divide 7 divided by 2, I get negative 3/5. Okay. Now I could look at my problems, which is F and E, and we could do the process of elimination. We could use our common sense, but hey, it's adding is easy, right? So I could just plug in the solution. And guys, I'm going to emphasize this with equations, and maybe I'm going too far ahead. When you find a solution to the equation, you can always check your answers. So for the last two, I'm going to show you guys what I mean by that. All right. So x plus negative 2 is equal to negative 6.5. I'm confused. I'm just acting out. But I'm confused. Is it between this number or that solution? What I could do is I could plug it in. I could say, okay, negative 4.5 plus negative 2 is equal to negative 6.5. I think that's the answer. And then I could do 2 and 1/2 plus negative 2 equal negative 6.5. Okay. Now this is me just checking the solution. I'm just gonna write this on the top so you guys don't get confused. All right. So needless to say, anytime I add negative integers or two negative integers, it gets smaller. Like the solution gets smaller or the sum gets smaller. Okay. So in this one, I'm adding a positive and a negative number. Well, when I add a positive and a negative number, it should have gotten bigger, not smaller, so it wouldn't be this. So the most correct answer would be this one, because negative 4.5 plus negative 2, they have the same sign. We add like regular. So it would be E would be number 1, and what's left over for F would be 5. All right. I think this is a good stopping point for today's lesson. I'm going to have a teacher-made cool down for this today's lesson, and we're going to finish this lesson tomorrow for part 3, because I see that part 3 has actually 4 questions and they seem very detailed. So I'll see you guys in tomorrow's lesson, and make sure that if you guys were confused, please refer to your manager's Google Meet session. You guys have a nice day.